There comes a point, doesn't it? A moment you might not even pinpoint on a calendar, but you feel it deep in your bones. The dynamic has shifted. The roles you knew so well for decades, guide, provider, authority, have quietly, sometimes awkwardly, rearranged themselves. You dedicated years, poured out your energy, made sacrifices that felt like the very air you breathed, all for them. And now, perhaps your advice lands unheard. Your opinions are casually set aside. Maybe you feel like an item on a to-do list, or even, God forbid, a weight, a burden, and the ache of it is profound. It's easy in that hurt to feel frustrated, even indignant, to want to rattle the cage and demand they remember everything you've done, the sheer volume of putting their needs ahead of your own. But let's be brutally honest with ourselves for a moment. Railing against the current, demanding allegiance from a place of pain or perceived debt. It simply doesn't work. It pushes them further away. It erodes dignity. It turns connection into conflict. Today, we're stepping onto a different path entirely. A path that bypasses the futile battle for recognition and focuses instead on cultivating something undeniable. This isn't about figuring out how to make your adult children fall back into line or magically start treating you like royalty again. This is about fundamentally changing your energy, your stance, your self-perception within the relationship. It's about reclaiming your sovereignty not from them, but within yourself. The power to transform the dynamic doesn't lie in changing their behavior first, but in decisively changing your own. Think of this as recalibrating your frequency so clearly and strongly that their response has no choice but to shift. These are not tactics to manipulate, but principles to embody. Here are 6 strategic shifts to reclaim your power and become the magnetic center of your own life, a life that naturally commands respect. Action 1. Cease the pursuit of their approval. End the audition. Let's look inward. How much of your energy is still spent performing for their acceptance, their praise, their validation? Do you find yourself saying yes when every fiber of your being screams no? Are you biting your tongue to avoid conflict, rearranging your life to suit their last-minute convenience? All in the quiet hope that this time they'll see your effort, your selflessness, and finally grant you that stamp of approval you crave. Stop. Immediate. This relentless pursuit of validation from those you raised is one of the fastest ways to diminish your stature in their eyes. You are inadvertently teaching them that your worth is contingent upon their satisfaction, that your needs and feelings are secondary to maintaining their good graces. Respect. True respect is not a reward for perfect compliance or endless sacrifice. It is a reflection of self-respect. When you constantly contort yourself to fit their expectations, when you avoid expressing your authentic needs or opinions for fear of disapproval, you are showing them, clearer than any words could, that you do not fully value yourself. And if you do not fully value yourself, why should they? This isn't about becoming difficult. It's about becoming grounded. Set your boundaries. Express your honest thoughts, respectfully, but clearly. Say no when your capacity or desire dictate it. The moment you stop needing their approval to feel whole is the moment you begin to radiate a quiet strength they cannot ignore. You are not auditioning for a role in their lives. You are the established lead in your own. Action 2. Silence the arguments. Amplify your presence. Let your dignity speak. When faced with the sting of disrespect, the interruption, the condescending tone, the casual dismissal of your experience, the adrenaline surges, and the instinct is to fight back with words, to argue your points, to demand to be heard, to list your credentials as a parent who deserves deference. But think back. When has arguing ever genuinely earned you respect? It's a battle for control waged on a battlefield where the real power lies not in who shouts loudest or lists the most grievances, but in who holds their center. When you meet their disrespect with reciprocal anger or desperate argument, you are descending to their level. You are confirming that they have the power to pull you into an emotional skirmish, to disrupt your peace. Instead of verbally jousting, cultivate a powerful presence. When interrupted, calmly pause and state, "I will continue when you are ready to listen." and then wait, silently holding space. When an opinion is dismissed, respond not with defense, but perhaps with a calm, "You are welcome to your opinion, but mine stands," or simply acknowledge their statement without engaging with its dismissiveness. Your power here is in your composure, your refusal to be drawn into the emotional fray. It's in the quiet confidence of a person who doesn't need to argue to validate their worth. Your dignity, maintained with grace under pressure, is the most eloquent argument you possess. Lead by example. Show them through your unwavering self-respect what true maturity and strength look like. Action 3. Disentangle your emotional well-being. Become your own source. This is a tender point, often layered with years of deep attachment. As a parent, your children were, for so long, a central source of your joy, your purpose, your connection. But as they build their independent lives, this emotional reliance can become a heavy, unspoken burden on them. If your happiness, your sense of worth, your primary social connection feels entirely dependent on their calls, their visits, their affection, they will inevitably sense it. And that creates pressure. Instead of freely given love, their interactions can start to feel like an obligation, breeding resentment, impatience, or distance. Emotional self-sufficiency is not about loving your children less. It's about loving yourself more and cultivating your own vibrant internal world. It's about having other sources of joy, connection, and purpose. Explore hobbies you postponed. Reconnect with friends. Join groups that align with your interests. Develop passions that fill your time and spirit independently of your children's schedules. When your children see that you are not waiting by the phone, that your life is rich and fulfilling with or without their constant input, the dynamic shifts. They are no longer the sole pillars holding up your emotional roof. They can connect with you from a place of genuine desire for connection, not from a sense of being responsible for your happiness. Become your own center of gravity, and they will be drawn to your energy, not weighed down by your neediness. Action 4. Erect and guard your boundaries. Define the terms of engagement. Let's be blunt. Children often lose respect for parents who have, perhaps unknowingly, taught them that disrespect is permissible. If you consistently allow interrupting critical comments, last-minute demands that derail your plans, or casual disregard for your feelings without a clear, calm response, you are setting a precedent. You are signaling that this behavior is acceptable. It's not necessarily maliciousness on their part. It's human nature to operate within the boundaries or lack thereof that others establish. People will treat you the way you implicitly or explicitly allow them to. Setting boundaries is not about issuing ultimatums or creating conflict for the sake of it. It is a fundamental act of self-respect and self-preservation. It is calmly, clearly, and consistently communicating how you expect to be treated in your interactions. This means stating, "I am not available at that time," or "that way of speaking to me is not acceptable," or "if you cannot speak to me with respect, I will end this conversation." And the crucial, non-negotiable part: enforce your boundary. If a boundary is crossed, follow through on the stated consequence, not as punishment, but as a reaffirmation of your standard. This requires courage and consistency. It teaches your children that interacting with you requires a baseline level of respect, because you value yourself enough to require it. Your territory is not a free-for-all. There are clear, dignified rules of entry. Action 5. Close the open tap of unappreciated generosity. Value your contribution. One of the fastest routes to being taken for granted is to pour endless resources, be it time, energy, effort, or money, into individuals who do not acknowledge or appreciate the gift. As parents, we often give reflexively, automatically, even when our generosity is met with expectation, entitlement, or even complaint. When you continually give without receiving any form of genuine appreciation or consideration in return, you are not building a foundation of love and respect. You are building a structure of expectation. Your kindness ceases to be seen as a valuable contribution and morphs into a perceived right. And when you eventually pause or stop giving, the reaction is not gratitude for past help, but often frustration over the interruption of supply. Take a careful look at where your generosity is flowing unappreciated. Are you the perpetual rescuer, the automatic ATM, the last-minute problem solver whose own plans are always secondary? It is perfectly healthy and necessary for self-respect to adjust your giving. This doesn't mean abandoning your children, but it means making your support conditional on respect and appreciation. It means sometimes saying, "I can't help with that right now," or "Let's figure out a way you can handle this," or even simply, "I hope you can appreciate the effort involved in this. Your resources, your time, your energy, your hard-earned money are valuable. Treat them as such." When your generosity is no longer a guaranteed, unconditional flow regardless of their behavior, its true value becomes apparent. They will learn that receiving your valuable support requires treating you and your efforts with respect. Action 6. Forge a vibrant existence beyond their orbit. Cultivate your own universe. If the narrative of your life, post-active parenting, seems to revolve only around your children and grandchildren, waiting for their calls, discussing only their lives, having no significant interests or pursuits outside of them, you risk being perceived, consciously or unconsciously, as lacking an independent existence. People, regardless of age, are drawn to and respect individuals who possess vitality, purpose, and a passionate engagement with life. If your children perceive you as someone whose happiness and schedule are entirely dictated by their availability, they may feel burdened, or conversely, see you as someone with ample time and no pressing concerns of your own, making it easier to disregard your needs. This is your opportunity, your imperative, to build and actively cultivate a life so compelling, so rich with your own interests, passions, and connections, that their presence in it is a wonderful addition, not the sole reason for its existence. Join clubs, take classes, travel, pursue a long-dormant hobby, volunteer, build strong friendships independent of your family circle. Become fiercely interesting to yourself. When your children see you thriving, engaged, fulfilled by your own endeavors, they will see a person radiating self-sufficiency and joy. They will respect your time because they see it as valuable and scheduled with things that matter deeply to you. They won't see someone merely waiting. They'll see someone living a life worth admiring, a life that is a testament to continuing growth and purpose. And that is powerfully attractive, powerfully respectable. Regaining respect from your adult children is not about winning a fight or making them feel guilty. It is about profoundly transforming your own relationship with yourself and, as a result, reshaping the energy you bring to your interactions. Stop chasing their approval. Ground yourself in your own worth. Stop arguing. Let your composed presence command the space. Stop depending on them for emotional sustenance. Become your own source of fulfillment. Set and enforce your boundaries. Teach them how you require to be treated. Value your generosity. Make appreciation a prerequisite, and most importantly, build a life so rich and compelling that your happiness is clearly independent of their actions. When you embark on this path of self-reclamation, something remarkable happens. Your children begin to see you differently. Not as the old role they've outgrown, not as a needy figure, not as someone whose boundaries are fluid, but as an individual of substance, autonomy, and quiet power. They will respect you not because they feel obligated, but because you embody respect for yourself and for the vibrant, independent life you continue to build. The shift starts within you, and in becoming the person you are meant to be in this new phase, you naturally become the person they can genuinely, truly respect. The power is yours. Embrace